Hi guys, this is Brian and Kenny. We're gonna do a little video on Mercs Conflict today. This is a dice game for 2 players, designed by Andrew Meredith. He's a friend of ours. He's a good guy. Game's very fast and much different than most dice game out there. The randomness is kind of neutralized by how many choices a player has and what to do. First, we're going to talk about setup. Each player has a board in front of them. I'm the CCC and Kenny's the USCR.
Oh yeah.
And there's little colored arrows on the player boards. And what you're going to do is you're going to fill in those spots with your starting dice. So each have a leadership die, which is the white die, and it's going to go in this
reserve sector.
Reserve sector where the white triangle is. These are infrastructure dice. There's nothing but resources on here. And so we'll go ahead and place all of our infrastructure dice into our areas. Infrastructure dice are the yellow dice. They will have a 1 or a 2, and those are resources. And each of these abilities cost resources, and so your infrastructure dice are your foundational dice. Without them, you really can't start the game and kind of buy the dice you need to win. You'll note the USCR is much different than the CCC. There's a lot of changes between each of the groups. The 4 that come in the box, the initial conflict box, are CCC, USCR, FCC House 9, and EU Incorporated. Each group also has a special extra die, and these are called asset dice. Starting at the top, the most important would be political dice.
So now we'll talk about the political dice, and as you saw, I used legislate quite a bit, which allows me to block his locations and be forced into damaging his own infrastructure to unlock them. You have some other cool abilities, which are, reserve actions, which I could get money for it, or I can use it to make him pay more money for an attack. And then it has a pretty good resource amount on it, so another 2. And then you have the well, you have red tape. It's very expensive, but the cool thing about it is any dice he has in his spent pool, I can take that dice and put it in my spent pool. So he bought a dice for me, essentially, if I can pay for it.
Then we have espionage dice.
The espionage dice, which is the blue dice here, and these have some pretty cool abilities because essentially you can do, the really cool one, which is assassinate. I could pick a location and damage whatever I want. I don't have to roll for it, so it's an automatic strike. You have another cool ability, which is subvert. Basically, it allows you to, the blue dice essentially allow you to use your opponent's dice, is an asset dice, against him. So while you have that, you also have a couple, resource sides on it. I think it's just 1. There's 1 resource, so you could only get a resource. But most of them are attack dice or subverting, your opponent's asset dice.
Using your opponent's assets or attacks against them. That's what these dice are. It's actually a very good counter to someone who is going strong attack, because a lot of these go before these if you get initiative, and so you're using their dice against them, and so it's kind of interesting that way. And we have economic dice. Economic dice are dice that allow you to, one, they have the best resource ratio in the game, and so with 1 die of economic, I have the same as sometimes 2 infrastructure dice. They also have a lot of reserve abilities, or abilities that allow you to buy things out completely. This costs 0, it's called buyout, and it allows me to spend as much as I need to buy whatever. So I could buy this attack with 4 infrastructure dice, or I can buy it with 1 buyout die.
I think the cool thing about that is that with that buyout dice, even if I did the reserve action that costs 2 more, he could buy it out for 6.
Right. This also has the facing that is what every MegaCon has a special, what they call leverage dice. It's where you are appealing to the GCC and forcing change into a particular MegaCon with their economic sanctions. Military, direct attacks, this is a lot of reserve actions and a lot of you have to pay more for everything you do. And then we have military dice. Military dice, they are what you think they are. They are attacks. These are all dice that do damage to your opponent, whether it be simple strikes that you roll for, or surgical strikes that you could select, or mercs abilities, or collateral damage. The military dice are your attacking dice. They are direct attack dice, but they're also the weakest of the corporate dice. So USCR gets 1 starting political dice, and CCC gets 1 starting military dice.
And you can easily tell that by the colored triangle in the upper corner of those areas.
We'll put up images of the boards, but each MegaCon has specific unique corporate abilities, and then a special economic attack and a special mercs attack. And they're unique for each group. And basically, that's how you set up your board. You turn your turn marker to 1. You have 10 turns to defeat the other person. There are numerous ways to defeat the other person, but the most common way is to completely eliminate all the dice in their corporate sector.